we multiplied everything by a. We can write ya or ay. Doesn't matter, right? In the back, how was it? Ay or ya? When you look at the end. Was it ya?
I think so.
Okay.
It was AY.
So it doesn't matter which way, a right, y right, or ya. But now I have to get this x by itself. So how do I get x by itself? How do I get rid of a minus a? I'm going to add a. Someone said, can you add these two together because they both have a's? This one has ay, and this one just has a. Can't add them together. So my final answer is going to be x equals ay plus a. Could you say x equals, and I think, what did they have it in the back? They had it looking like this.
It was
A times y plus 1.
That's what I had.
Okay. I'm surprised if any of you got this without, like, my guess would be this would probably be how most of you are going to leave your answer. To me, this makes sense. The reason this one doesn't for a lot of you is you're doing reverse distributive property. I haven't really done any of those, and so I don't know why you pick out that they both had an A in common and do it this way. Okay? I did have some people that added 1 right away, and then they multiplied. So the main reason that maybe you had that was that maybe you did this problem this way. You said x divided by a is equal to y plus 1. And then you said, oh, to get rid of my fraction, I'm going to multiply this side by a, and I'm going to take this side times a. So then maybe you had y plus 1 times a, and you didn't distribute it out. Okay? That's how you can get that answer. But I would take this answer also. I just want you to be aware of it. That's not wrong. Okay? Any other ones as you were looking at these? Let's look at down at 12. 12 is a little uglier one. In 12, first thing I want to do is get rid of that fraction a half. So I'm going to multiply on both sides by what number's in our denominator? 2. So I'm going to have 2 times a. That's just going to stay as 2a. I'm going to take 2 over 1 times a half h, and then I still have this b1 plus b2. I am not going to distribute anything yet. I'm just going to get rid of that fraction part. When I do that, as I look at the problem, 2 over 1 times 1/2. 2 divided by 2 is actually just 1. So I now have 2 times capital A equals h times b1 plus b2. How do I get this b1, b2 by itself? What's the opposite of multiplying by h? Divide. I'm going to divide this by h, and I'm going to divide this side by h. H divided by h is simply 1, and it's an easier problem now, right? B sub 1 plus B sub 2. The reason they have B sub 1 and B sub 2 is they're talking about base 1 and base 2, if you remember last year when you did trapezoids. I am trying to solve for B sub 2. That means I need this all by itself. How do I get rid of B1? Subtract B sub 1. So it's an ugly answer. 2 times capital A divided by h minus b sub 1 equals b sub 2. Okay, right? So my hint for 7 is I might distribute first. So 2/3 times, or 3/5 times 2/3 q is going to give me 6/15, and I might put the q up on top. And then it's minus, and I'm taking 3/5 times 5, 6. What does that second one get when I take 3/5 times 5, 6? I'm going to get 15 over 30 equals 3. Now when I look at these, 15 over 30, I don't like 15 over 30. I can simplify it, right? I could simplify it. I can't have 15 in the denominator, but what is 15 divided by 30? 2. Not 2. 15 divided by 30, not 30 divided by 15. 1/2. So if I'm looking at that problem, I might, instead of 15, I might go, oh, this is 1/2. And so now I have nicer denominators, and I want to get rid of the fraction. Multiply by something, so you had 6q over 15 minus 1/2 equals 3 over 1. And maybe you don't like getting rid of the fractions. Just make sure you check the answer and you do the check on your calculator. Okay? No other questions? Yeah. 8. Oh, 8's another fraction one. My hint on number 8 is the only thing I tell you is there's some very similar to these on the test with these fraction ones like this. Make sure you go back and go over these, but my hint would be to start that one and put it in parentheses and then eliminate the denominator. So what would we want to multiply? What is our least common multiple of our denominators is? Not 3. 3 is called our greatest common factor. Least common multiple has to be the bigger of the two numbers or even bigger than that. So in this case, it would simply be not 27. The bigger of the two numbers is 9. And does 3 go into 9?
Yeah.
So I want to use 9 when I multiply. Because or else I have to simplify a bunch at the end. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. Keep this in a parenthesis. Would be my hint for it. Okay? All right. I would like you to turn, and this is page 37 in your workbook notes. Okay? Tomorrow the counselors are in here for the day. The date of the test is Friday, May 9th. There will be 14 questions, 70 points. You don't have to write this standard, but this is the standard that I'm grading on. It's one of our major 8th grade standards to make sure that you can solve multi-steps equations, including literal equations. So after this year, we start putting in your Power School if you're proficient on these standards. Right now, I do this for this big standard because this is a major 8th grade standard. There's 10 questions on this. What are those 10 questions? How many points are they each worth? Well, there's 10 questions. The questions are anywhere from 5 to 6 points each. This is a total of 52 points of the test. This is a big standard for us. That's 52 points on the test out of the 70, which means this is my other 18 points, right? So when I look at those multi-step equations, this is where you are going to have maybe a no solution, right? How do we get no solution? What happened to the problem to get no solution, Abby, you remember?
They don't equal if you have 2 equals 4.
2 equals 4. If we get a false statement, right, we know we have to put no solution. We could have all real numbers. Someone else want to raise their hand and tell me all reals, Olivia? Looks like what?
10 equals 10.
10 equals 10. If it's a true statement, you got 10 equals 10. You're going to see fraction answers. You're going to see decimal answers. And then you're going to see 2 literal equations. Okay? The key thing I want you to remember is that you can check all your answers, right? If you're solving something, you can check it. You can plug the number in and see that it works using your calculator. Other thing with this one that you're going to see, the other type of question that you're going to see is, I am going to ask you, someone did this work and they made a mistake. So the question's going to say something like, circle the mistake. And then I'm going to ask you, there's going to be 2 questions like this, where I ask you to circle the mistake in the problem. So I'm going to have someone's work, and I'm going to say circle the mistake. You're going to circle the mistake. You're going to explain what they did wrong. And then you're going to correct it. That's a 6-point question when you are looking at those on your test. Solutions. Please write this down. 2 of the questions are going to be multiple choice questions. And the multiple choice is that I'm going to give you 3 equations in each one. That means I'm going to have variables on both sides and numbers, and just like we've been solving some of these equations, I'm going to give you 3 equations. And 1 question I'm going to ask you, and in those 2 questions I'm going to ask you to tell me which one, choice A, B, or C, which one has maybe no solution. And we just said earlier, no solution is when you had a false answer, right? 2 equals 4, right? So what do you have to do? You have to solve all those problems. I might ask you another one that says, when is there one solution, right? If it's one solution, remember that one worksheet? You get x equals 4. That's one solution. I might have one that says, how do you get all real numbers? And what do you have to do for that one is we have to have a true statement, right? If we set up above, 10 equals 10. Now, these are anywhere from 4 to 6 points, these two questions. And after you pick, like say you pick 2 out of the 3 or 1 out of the 3, maybe you pick answer A and C or B and C, or maybe it's just one of them, like just B. Okay? You choose that one. You need to show the work for all of them. You need to show the work for all 3. And I will have this note up on the board explaining that for those questions on Friday, okay? That will explain what you have to be careful for. The second type of question in that part, so if you go down and put the second type of question, you're going to see the other 2 questions are going to be a question where you have to fill in the blank in the equation. What do I mean by fill in the blank in the equation? You got to put in one number. You're going to fill in the blank in the equation. You're going to put in one number. That'll make it whatever they tell you. Make it true. That's worth 1 point in each question. And then the other 3 points of each question. So each of these is a 4-point question. Okay, so there's 2 4-point questions. And then the second part is you have to explain why you chose that number. I need to be able to read your writing. I need to make sure I know what words you're using. So you're going to explain why you chose the number that you did. So I might say, oh, there's going to be, so this is an example of what I'm talking about. There's going to be one solution to this problem. If I give you 2x plus 4 equals blank plus blank x plus 7. There's going to be one solution. Could I have this be 2x? I cannot have it be 2x. Could I have it be anything else other than 2x? Yes, I can have it be anything. So maybe you say I chose 3 and someone else writes -4 and someone else writes 7, right? All of those would work. But if you put a 2 in there, it's wrong. Does that make sense to everyone? Why 2x would make it wrong? Because when I subtract 2x, I get 4 and 7, right? 4 equals 7, that's a false statement, that's no solution. So then in your explanation, you'd say, I chose this number because if I chose 2, it would make it a false statement. So that's what that kind of question is going to look like. Does that make sense? Okay. So